Hi, I'm Vanessa Vicaria, aka The Math Guru, and you're listening to Math Therapy, a podcast that helps guests work through their math traumas one problem at a time. When I was in grade 11, I failed math not once, but twice, because I was told that I just wasn't a math person. Thanks to a math intervention in the form of an amazing teacher, I ended up scoring 99% in grade 12 math, and now I run The Math Guru, my very own math tutoring studio in Toronto. I started Math Therapy to take this conversation global, and I like to think of it as not just a podcast, but a movement. Whether you think you're a math person or not, you're about to find out that math people don't actually exist, but the scars that math class left on many of us definitely do. Oh, and don't worry, no calculators or actual math were involved in the making of this podcast. Hi guys, how's everyone doing this week? Cool. Okay, yeah, I totally realize you can't answer, so let's just move on. So, all the way from New Brunswick, Canada. On Math Therapy today, I am excited to introduce you guys to Jill, awe-inspiring mom of 3 who decided to make the switch from, get this, nutrition to power engineering at the age of 40, despite the fact that she spent all of her younger years totally hating math. Crazy, right? From crying in the bathroom to melting down in front of her husband to doing everything in her power to keep her eye on the prize, this episode has it all. So buckle up, kids. Here we go. Okay, so welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
All right, let's get into it. So we heard your story because you actually wrote to us to tell us how math therapy has helped you overcome your fear of math. Mm-hmm. So oh my God, it's kind of our first fan mail ever, which is so exciting. And I want to know what event prompted you to even write to us.
It was really the end of last September, and I think you had just launched your podcast. And so that coincidentally was when I started school. It's community college essentially, but you have to be there every day. So I went from a very active job to sitting behind a desk, and I was feeling antsy. But as we will talk about it, my struggle with math has been so intense, and the learning curve that I have been on has been so steep, and I was feeling so discouraged about what I didn't realize I didn't know, what I didn't know, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, for sure.
I was just out. I was out for a walk, and I was just looking for some sort of, I don't know if I could just learn math through listening to a podcast or get better at math through a podcast. And I was just searching for math something. And the Math Therapy podcast popped up as an option. It had this colorful logo, and the name of it, Math Therapy, was so, it spoke to me because it felt like that's what I need is math therapy. And I had been reading about math anxiety as well, and thinking that's what it feels like I have is math anxiety. And then I just proceeded to listen to the podcast. I don't even remember who you were speaking with, but I just remember feeling oh my gosh, that is me. You're talking about me. This is my struggle with math. I can't believe that there's other people in the world that feel that way about math. And when I, eventually got to the end of the semester, I was the first person I am going to tell who I passed this course is Vanessa. I'm going to email her.
Oh my gosh, shut up. Yes. That's so cute.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, hold on. Okay, first of all, literally this is so exciting because I don't know. I feel this is how famous people feel before they get famous, and one person the first person recognizes them on the street, and they're oh my God, right. Someone's recognized me. Literally, you're making me feel that way. So thank you so much. But second, I actually am really curious. Did you honestly think that no one felt the way you felt before? Before hearing the podcast, did you feel isolated in those feelings? Were you there's something weird about what I'm experiencing and I don't think anyone else ever has?
Not entirely. I had met other people in my adult life who had struggled with math, but I had never really talked about it with them to the extent that you were talking about it on the podcast. I had, you'd kind of on a surface level been oh yeah, I'm not really good at math, or,
right.
Oh, ha, 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 I can't count back change to save my life. just different things that other people would go, yeah, that math isn't really my thing. But the podcast that you had put out just explained, math anxieties and a complex with math and a difficulty with math and a relationship, like a negative relationship with math that I had never really heard somebody talk about to the extent that you were talking about it.
So this is so interesting because you were a holistic nutritionist, right?
Yep.
And you have decided to completely switch careers into engineering. Mm-hmm. Okay, so talk us through the whole thing. What got you from I'm a holistic nutritionist to being I need to change my career and become an engineer? How did that even happen?
Essentially, it was kind of an accumulation of events. I had been on a mat leave. So I have 3 kids. They're 16, 14, and 3 years old. I ended up being on mat leave, feeling like I needed to kind of assess my situation. I had been in holistic nutrition for, at that point, around 4 years, but I had been in the health and fitness industry for 15 years before that. I had been a fitness instructor. I'd always been involved on that scene. And I had raised my family too. I was a stay-at-home parent for quite a few years. So being a fitness instructor and all that was kind of part of my gig as a stay-at-home mother. And then I got into the nutrition world once my older kids were in school. I started to do my research. And I started to look into, at 40 years old, what am I going to do that I don't have to go to school for 4 years? And power engineering kept just popping up. I couldn't really...
And wait, what even is power engineering?
Power engineering, it's like the operation, the maintenance of boiler systems and mechanical systems in various facilities.
So random.
It is so random. It is. Basically, if you were to drive around and look at any kind of a building that has a stack, that building likely has a power engineer involved.
Okay, so this is must be a very thing that's local to where you're from.
It is. It's a program that's offered at NBCC, which is the college I attend. It's one of the more highly sought after programs. There was actually a 2.5-year wait list when I applied.
Oh my God.
Okay. Because the employment rate is quite high. And kind of in continuing why I did this, it was a program that was a short amount of time with the greatest financial gain at the end. So,
okay, so your motivation, you're kind of holistic nutrition is happening here. There's nowhere for me to go. I need to make some sick cash. What can I do in the shortest amount of time? Is that a good summary?
That is a good summary. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is what you're thinking. Now, I would think as someone, and I want to talk to you about your relationship with math, up to this point, because I'm thinking as someone who has never loved math, seeing the word engineering, actually seeing the word engineering next to the word power would straight up intimidate me. I'd be what the fuck is going on right now?
Oh yeah, it straight up intimidated me too, because I remember actually looking at the program descriptions on the college website and feeling almost numb, sick to my stomach to think, this is what I'm going to go study. What am I doing? It's pretty safe to say, Vanessa, there was an awful lot of soul searching that went on when I was in the process of kind of putting the nutrition world aside and looking into engineering. So when I had looked at these course descriptions, they were terrifying. They sounded terrible to me. And I was basically, I was doing the soul searching aspect of it. That was where I had started to feel like I need to decide if I'm going to do this or not. And once I sent my acceptance letter back in and the wheels started turning, then I started to hear from other people that I knew that were power engineers telling me how much they enjoyed their job and explaining to me what it is they did. And it started to make me feel a lot better about the decision I had made. And from that point on, I started to learn more about it, learned about the kinds of duties that they did every day. And I was like, you know what? I think I can do this, and I think I'm really going to enjoy it.
Okay, but let's just back up for a second. So when you were in high school, or when you were younger even, you were never confident in math, right?
Yeah, no.
What was the whole vibe growing up, to get to this point?
I had a job around 16 years old, and I was working at Tim Hortons double drive-through.
Okay, I also worked at Tim Hortons when I was 16. Twins, that's awesome.
Nice. So this was this double drive-through. So there was always cars coming in on both sides, and you had this headset on, and you had to keep track of calls coming in, and you had to put them in the computer and get orders right. And I was always put on cash. So they had me in front of this cash register, and the way it worked was they wanted cars to go through so quickly that you'd put the order in, and when the car came to the window, you just knew how much money it was, but they wouldn't let us push a change button in order to know what the change was. So we had to.
Oh my God! Like, what do you mean? Like people would be like, give you $5 for $3.88, and you just had to like know what it was and hand it back to them instantly.
Yeah. So you had to basically count backwards from $3.88 to $5. And at 16 years old, having this, pretty limited, crappy math background, that was really a huge struggle for me. So I would basically in that moment take cash and just sort of hand people what I thought might be the amount of money that they should get back in change.
How did that work for you?
Sometimes people would come back in and say, you gave me too much, or you didn't give me enough. I can guarantee you there were many people that got the wrong change and never knew.
Did you ever calculate it? Like, did you ever even try, or you were just like, whatever, some random coins taken?
If it was easy, like if it was like $1.50 and they gave me a toonie, I knew that I needed to give them back 50 cents. That was always fine. But if it was something like $3.88 out of $5, it would have taken me a while to figure it out. And I was like,
So what would you give the person back? Like, quick, go. Like, what are you handing me back?
Oh, I might have given them back. I'd have to count from $3.88 to 90 to give them their 2 cents. This is back when we had pennies. And then I would know that it was $3.90, and then I would give them the 10 cents, and then that was $4, and then I knew that I had to give them $1 to make it $5. So I would be giving them back, $1.12.
But that's correct.
But that's true.
And were you
But I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it quickly. I couldn't do it quick enough for how quick these cars were coming through.
So you would do like whatever came like quickest.
Whatever came, because I was so flustered.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And eventually, I lost that job. Like they fired me. They didn't give me.
I was about to be like, how long did this last?
It didn't last long.
You're just like throwing pennies at people as they drive by.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that's actually fucking amazing.
Yeah. I remember writing an exam in grade 12 and getting this 51%. I walked in. I had been asked to come back into the classroom about a week later after we wrote the exam. And the math teacher sat me down, and she was this sweet little lady. And I remember her just saying, in order for me to pass you on this, because I think I had something like a 48% on the exam, we're just going to walk through this question here together. And so she proceeded to walk me through some sort of an algebraic equation and, essentially gave me the answer in order for me to pass that exam. But that mark, like that 51%, it was almost like this number that I felt like it was always stuck on my forehead all the time about this is the mark you got in math, and so this is your capacity for math. And
So can I ask you a question? Like, what was happening? Like, where were you struggling? Were you like trying and not getting it? Like, why were you getting these marks? Like, not that there's anything wrong with them, but like, why did you end up almost failing that calculus exam?
I really didn't care about math. I didn't have parents that were pushing me and saying, you need to get a better math mark or anything like that. They recognized that math wasn't a strong suit for me. My dad was never a student himself. He's fantastic in all other things. Jack of all trades, super capable, wonderful, but never a student. And my mom had always, worked hard at school, but she was the one that studied her butt off and worked super hard to just get an 80. So they didn't have big expectations of me to have high marks. So it wasn't something that was high priority in our household. So for me, I just needed to pass math to get by. I didn't care enough about it.
So moving forward to like now, and you're like, okay, power engineering, this is the way to go. This is what I need to do with my life. Like, this is how I make bank. How, like, I'm so curious how you got the confidence, honestly, to be like, okay, you know what? Fuck, I can do this. Like, where did that even come from?
I wouldn't say that I walked into it with confidence in any shape or form. I didn't. And
but I mean, something made, you must have had some degree of, honestly, truthfully, most adults I know who are like, I need a career change. Like, and I feel like, you know, like in your 30s, you know, a lot of adults who are like, shit, I need to make a move in my life. And we all know those people who like, many people that don't have the courage to make any sort of change, let alone a really bold change, because there's that fear of failure and there's that fear of leaving security. And I feel like you're talking about making like a huge, huge leap here. So like what gave you that courage?
Well, I don't know if it was just a bit of being extremely naive, a little bit of stupidity on my part.
Yeah.
It was really a huge risk, like a massive risk to do it. By this time, though, I'm an adult, like I'm a grown person that had to give up my job and, you know, go all in feet first to this decision. It wasn't just like I was going to start school and say, oh, well, you know, I don't think I can do this, so I'm just going to keep living in my parents' basement and, you know, carry on with my life. That wasn't right. It. That was like, this decision was like, you're doing this, Jill, whether you like it or not. This was a huge sacrifice for me to do this. We're living on one income, and it's a big deal. So for me to do it, whether I liked math or not, was sort of like tough shit. You're just...
Wow. So yeah, like it's like the stakes were almost so high when you made that decision that you were like, I'm going to figure it out.
Yep. Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Like that's a really interesting way to put it. Like even though it was by your own choosing, but often I wonder when I think about our students now, or you know, if I think about students these days, I really wonder if the stakes are just simply not high enough for so many of them. And like, this might seem tangential, but I really think like, okay, like obviously I'm going to rant about this because I feel like I'm going to do this every interview because I can't stop myself. But I feel like TikTok and social media, for example, are to blame because in a way they reduce the stakes because students keep thinking they have this fucking weird fallback plan where they can get away with doing nothing and still somehow make it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like It seems like so I feel like with math, since one of the things with math is truly that you have to work hard and you have to practice and there has to be consistency there. Whereas with all of these things that are advertised to young kids these days as like measures to success, you can just do something once or you can go viral or whatever. It's almost like the stakes are constantly not high enough for them to say, well, fuck, I'm going for it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? I mean, I have 2 teenagers, so I know all about, just the attitude of, what kind of regard and respect that they have for these viral streamers and YouTubers.
Oh my God, tell me, like what?
Well, they talk about, these individuals, these are grown adults that sit in front of a computer screen and stream their lives and allow teenagers to watch what they're doing all day long. And they really take them seriously. Like they really talk about these people like, that they, and I recognize that, maybe these people do make money doing what they're doing and it is a lifestyle for them, but it's just such a lifestyle for a minute amount of people. I can't, that's not really where I want them to put their eggs for the basket.
Well, yeah, and honestly, like if they would focus on math, they could calculate the statistical probability of them actually getting to that point where they can make money off of it.
Yes, which is very, very, very low. Yeah.
So how did your kids feel when you decided to make this move? Like, it's such interesting role modeling for them. Were they supportive? Were they like, oh my God, Mom, you're fucking crazy? Like, what was the vibe with like your friends and family around this?
They were, actually, it's interesting. I had quite a few family members very concerned. My mom and dad being one of them. They were really concerned because they saw it too as a huge risk. Like what are you doing, Jill? You've always been involved in health and fitness and nutrition, and you've always been kind of like I've done a lot of stints too with interior design and just more of the creative artsy side of things. And so this, I recognize it was a full 180 for them to see me do. So they had a bit of fear in it, seeing me go for it. The kids, I mean, they're still young teenagers. So for them, they were like, okay, Mom, that's cool. If that's what you want to do, go for it. They didn't really have a big say in it. But what is kind of interesting is when I am sitting down and working on my thermodynamics homework or math homework, my son, Sam, especially, he likes to sit down and just see what I'm working on. And it makes me feel amazing when I can sit and explain to him what I'm doing. And he is like, oh, that's cool. We're kind of starting, some of those concepts in our class right now. Mm-hmm. And that's
so awesome.
Yeah. It makes it so that I can kind of relate and I can kind of help them too with what they're working on, which is something I wasn't really ever confident in doing before.
Okay, I feel like we need to take a moment to brag about what you told us, which was your exam results.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it for you.
No,
can you just
I will tell you because it kind of started out my first math test. So our math fundamentals, it was Math 1089. That math fundamentals, we had to do it first semester in order to have a prerequisite for applied mechanics for our second semester. So the first test I took in math fundamentals, I got a 55 and I was crushed. I did the math boot camp and I have shed more tears over math in the last 6 months. It's not even funny because there's been so many moments where I'm like, okay, I'm tapping out. I can't do this. I can't
really?
do this.
Yep. Like you've been about to give up?
Oh my gosh. I have given up every single Sunday night for the first semester. I cried to my husband and blubbered about how I wasn't cut out for this. Who did I think I was doing this program? It's so hard. And genuinely.
What did he say? What was his reaction?
My husband is sweet and he'll say, okay, well, why don't you tell me, can you explain to me how it's not working for you? Like, tell me what it is that you're struggling with. And he would do this thing where he would get me to explain it to him as this little back way of getting me to explain it so I would understand it even better.
Oh my God, do you know what that's called, right?
No.
Math therapy.
Math therapy.
Yes. Oh my God, he sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what would happen? So give me a scenario.
Well.
So what would you say?
Well, I remember specifically for electrical class, we had to do this. It's called Kirchhoff's Law. And it's where you have to take a circuit and you have to take the different resistances on the circuit and you have to essentially line them up in a substitution or elimination method. And you have to kind of calculate it down to get a missing resistance for that circuit. And then you have to replace that resistance and put it in another one to get the other missing resistance. And it's complicated. And so I remember just being gobsmacked by this Kirchhoff's Law, trying to figure it out. Never seen it in my life, never done electrical in my life. And my husband was like, okay, I can tell you're frustrated. Why don't you tell me, what is it that you're supposed to do? And he had me explain it to him and walk him through it. And by the end of it, I was like, oh my gosh, I understand how to do this now.
Oh my God, I love him for you.
Yes, he's sweet. He's been extremely supportive through all of this. And having, him have me say it out loud, why I'm doing the program, why I signed up for all of this in the first place, it's solidified all the reasons why I'm doing this program and why it's important that I just keep one foot in front of the other and just keep plugging along for it.
Well, and I think that is, okay, first of all, we still have not gotten to the point of my question, which is,
I know.
you still need to brag about your exam, but I do want to like pause because I love this whole idea of mindset and honestly, keeping your eye on the prize. Like there's something so important about being like, I have this goal and I have it for a purpose, and writing those things down. And when things get tough and when you feel derailed, of continuing to remind yourself why it's so important. Like I actually think that is part of what gets in people's way. Like it's kind of what we said at the very beginning or whenever, like I don't even know how long we've been talking, but like it's kind of what we said about the stakes not being high enough, right? Like when you start forgetting the reason, your purpose, your drive, sometimes that really does lower the stakes to the point where like things don't seem that important anymore. So I think that's really cool. So love all of his techniques. Okay, your exam, let's go. What happened?
So I threw out
got a 55.
55 on the first one.
Sunday night.
Terrible. And then by the end of the semester, I got an 83 on my final math exam.
Oh my God. Okay, wait, do we have a like one of those cheer tracks? Like you know those tracks in TV shows where they're like, woo, the applause. Congrats.
Thank you.
So how did that happen? And more importantly, what did that show you?
It honestly, it just showed me. It showed me my capacity. It showed me like what I am capable of learning, even though I wasn't learning it at the same rate as a lot of the other people that I go to school with. I mean, there's a lot of people that come from all walks of life, but 90% of my class is kids that are fresh out of high school, or they waited a couple of years taking like a civil engineering course while they were on the wait list for the Power Eng course. And, you know, these people have tons of experience and a lot of confidence, and it's almost like a second nature to the math that we were doing. It was all new to me. So for me to go from walking into the boot camp at the beginning of the school year, going, you know, excusing myself to go to the washroom so that I could cry because I was so intimidated and so lost on what they were doing, then to writing that math exam and, you know, doing things that I just couldn't seem to figure out, like logs. I couldn't get logs. But then by the time that math exam came around, I was like, I can do logs like an actual boss. I am so good at them.
Yes, Bish, that's amazing.
Yes. And even like solving a right triangle. It took me so long to get the whole SOHCAHTOA thing down.
Oh, yeah.
But I can do it in my sleep now, solving a right triangle.
God,
it was no issue.
You're such a queen. Okay, wait, are the kids in your class, like, are you like their hero? Do they think you're super cool? Like, I bet you some of the girls in that class are like really looking up to you.
If they are, they haven't told me. Maybe they do. But I don't know about it at all.
Are you friends with any of them? Do you see them crying? They're probably all crying in the bathroom too.
No.
Not just the girls, like everyone.
No, a lot of them have a lot of experience in math. None of them were as crazy as I was to sign up for this program with the negligent math experience that I had. I would say, gosh, aside from that one lady that, and unfortunately she did drop out 3 weeks after the program began because
What happened? Tell us the dirt. Spill the tea.
She was really overwhelmed by it. It kind of came down to that she didn't have the same drive to do the program as I did. There's
that mindset again.
Yeah, just down and out determined that I'm doing this program through hell or high water. I am doing it and I'm finishing it. I might not finish it with 4.3 GPA, but I am finishing it. And for her, it was a little bit different. She just had a lot of fears about everything. Everything was difficult for her, the math, namely, of course, but she kind of just decided to tap out before she, got too deep into it. So,
are you still friends with her?
Yes, I still stay in contact with her. She's a doll. And her and I really hit it off because we were both kind of like the old dolls in the class. I am the oldest person in my class for sure. I think the next oldest is like 35. Okay, and then everyone else are like, they're like babies to me. They're like 20 years old.
Yeah, like I feel like it must be so cool for the young kids in your program to see you just give no fucks and be like, I am doing this at this age. Like, do they know your story?
Well, I don't think that they do.
Oh my God, when this podcast comes out, they will.
They might.
We're going to go viral. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I'm going to contact your college. Don't worry. I've got this. I'll just make sure everyone in your class hears it. You can be a case study.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, please don't.
I have instructors that definitely know my story. And the college I attend, they have amazing instructors. They're very much committed to your success. So they know how much of a struggle this has been and have even told me, if ever you need a recommendation for a job, I will give you a glowing reference because I know how far you've come and I know what you came from. So to them,
and like how hard you're willing to work.
Yeah. And to take, it does take sometimes a mature person to be able to take the hits that maybe I've taken, because I am witnessing a lot of students that, are 30 years and younger, a lot of like young to mid 20s, especially that, they'll get a test mark back and it'll be like only a 91 and they'll be like on the floor with it. Like it'll bother them so much.
Yeah. Welcome to my life. And it's funny, like I bring this up a lot, but I actually think it's important for adults to remember, especially adults who are dealing with kids, that, I talk a lot about how we do have a lot of adults that come see us later in life to do math. Like, I don't know if you remember, but on season 1, we had Yvonne, who's in her 60s and has decided to, to do math, like to complete math. We've had a couple of adults. And it's funny because when you go back and revisit this stuff as an adult, it's not that it's easier necessarily, or you're like, oh my God, like all of a sudden I completely understand what a parabola is. But you've been through so much stuff in your life that like that hit of something being difficult or failing a test is not the end of the world anymore. And I think it really is about resilience, right? So like, how do we teach that to younger people? Like, how do we do that so that when they get a 91, they can take that in stride and not think it's the end of the world? Because there are some things that only time and experience can take us to, but I really do feel that like kids these days are so fragile and so unprepared for anything that is not like exactly their version of success that it throws them off and discourages them from pursuing their dreams so easily. So like, I actually, before I get to our final 2 questions, I do have one more question. And it's kind of about this and kind of how you said you were brought up. We hear a lot of stories of people who grew up in households where they were told they weren't math people, or they had a parent who was very open about, the fact that some people can do math and some people can't. And your story is a bit different. You talked about the fact that your parents really never mentioned anything to you about math specifically, but there were no specific expectations around math either, right? Like it was just kind of like, okay, cool. Yeah. How did that upbringing, and did it at all affect the way that you parent your kids when it comes to education?
That's an interesting question. Mainly, I find with my own kids, I never really wanted them to know what I struggled with. And I always thought that that was going to be the right thing, that I should just not tell them that I struggle with math, because I didn't want it to get in their heads, oh, well, mom struggles with math, which is why I struggle with math. And my parents didn't really ever speak over me in a way like, well, we were never good students, so you're never going to be a good student. It was just that they celebrated what I was really good at. And I remember being really praised for, being such a good artist and being such a good English student and how creative I was. So that was sort of something that has rolled over into my parenting, where instead of focusing on, because my oldest child, she is not strong in math, and has been seeing a math tutor here in our community for the last couple of years, which has helped her immensely. And I even sought out help from that same math tutor. That has, been something where I try to focus on what they're really good at instead of focusing what they're not good at, because it's what I know and it was what was modeled for me.
So have you ever told them about how you struggled with math?
Eventually I did, like just literally within the last year of me going down this road of entering an engineering field. They could see that my struggle with math has been so intense. My middle son is so naturally good with math. He's never had an issue or a struggle with it. And that's always been a bit of a bone of contention between the two older kids, because my oldest has always struggled with it. She's like, oh, well, Sam never has troubles with math, and that sucks that I have to have such an issue with it. And so that's trying to not allow that to be her way of thinking and her mindset, and to feel jealous that her brother's good at something that she's not, because she's great at things that he's not.
But how do you counteract that with the fact that you struggled with math and you literally just got an 83 on an engineering exam? Like, does that not show your kids that, like, perhaps there's no such thing as natural aptitude, or that if there is, it can be mitigated with hard work? Or, like, do they talk about that at all?
Oh, well, I brag. I brag about my math.
You should.
Yeah, I tell them how I'm doing with math. I'm pretty open with them about, how difficult it was, and now with where I'm at. And I have gotten marks before, and I will put that test on the fridge right next to their artwork. Like, this is my badge of honor. I am so proud of this. And they have been they have been genuinely proud of it. Even little things, how kids at school, they'll be asked to write an essay about their family, or about, my son recently had to write an essay called My Hero, and he made it about me. And
oh my God, what? That is so cute.
It was cute, and it was definitely just pulled at heartstrings, because he wrote everything that a mother would want her child to write about her. And they talk about me doing power engineering. They actually make note to say it. And that's, to me, an indication that there is a level of pride there, that they're happy I'm doing it. And they talk about it with their friends, and they'll just kind of make little comments here and there, as much as a teenager talks about their parents. But
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the most important thing is, like, it doesn't even have that much to do with math, but the fact that they're seeing their mother struggle with something that is so hard and not give up, right? And, like, I think that's one of the most important things we can do for kids. And that's why I always have such a problem with the way we just kind of steal math away from kids. Like, we don't even give them the chance. As soon as they're struggling, we say it's not for you, because what you can discover when you fight for something that doesn't, come to you right away, the lessons we can gain from that are just so much greater than the content itself. So I think that's amazing. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the two final questions that I ask every guest, and you probably know what they are, but let's pretend you don't. Okay, number one, what would you change? You could just name one thing you would change about the way math is taught in school.
I would say that, if anything, it should be teachers teaching math who they themselves are confident in math. Mm-hmm. Because I have seen teachers even teach my own children math where that teacher wasn't confident, and that has spilled over into how my kid learned math.
And how do you think it spills over? Like, as in they don't get taught correctly, or like that they just have a lack of confidence themselves?
That teacher has a lack of confidence in themselves for teaching math. And kids are smart. Kids are so intuitive, and they can tell if you really do understand this and if you don't. And I have witnessed it. I had a teacher that taught my kids in early grades, like in grade 2 and grade 3, and those teachers were not confident in math. And it did affect how my oldest daughter definitely took on math as she's grown up. And I myself never really had a memory of a teacher that wasn't confident in math. So I can't really pinpoint a time in my early childhood where, math just kind of went in left field for me. but I could definitely see it in my own children and how they were taught math.
Okay, that's amazing. Great answer. And my last question, my favorite question is, what would you say to someone who says that they're not a math person?
Well, of course, I would say if I can do it, you can do it. Because if you had any inkling of how low of a level I was at with my confidence in math, and to see, the kinds of math that I'm doing right now, and the different types of equations that I'm able to figure out now, and the formulas that I can calculate. I actually even myself can't believe that I am capable of doing this stuff, but it really is a matter of just going for it and knowing that if it's something that really matters to you, like this program matters to me, you will find a way. You will, whether it's through watching YouTube videos or seeking out podcasts like this one. I sought out the help from my daughter's high school math tutor. Anything like that to help is definitely going to be the key to your success. But when it really comes down to it, it is your mindset. It has to be. If you're not willing to do it and not keep driving for it, then it's easy to give up on it.
I just think that is like literally, first of all, so well said, and really the most important takeaway. And I hope for anyone who's like listening to your story that that's something they take away from it. It's really okay if you don't like give a shit and don't want to learn math. Like, that's completely fine. But if you do want to, there is a way for everyone. I mean, that's like literally why the saying, what's that saying? When there's a will, there's a way.
That's literally,
yeah, that's why the saying exists, because it's actually true. And I think it's okay to not have that will, but you need to know that, like, if you want to learn math, that is a possibility and you can. And I often think that what happens is people try the traditional ways. They're like, ugh, whatever. Like, I did my homework, I went to class, and like, I can't do it. It's not for me. That's not what when there's a will, there's a way means, right? It means that you will find any way. Like you're saying, those extra resources, seeing your daughter's high school math teacher, like whatever those things are. Yeah, I think that's really fucking cool. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I can't wait for you to send us like a picture of you like in the trade.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I hope you're wearing like some really bad, are you gonna wear like a hard hat?
Oh, there'll be like hard hats. Oh, like tons of personal protective equipment.
The glasses, I want the hat. I want like someone like, okay, yeah. Okay, cool. All right, get us a pic at some point.
I will.
Oh my God, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It was a literal absolute pleasure, and I cannot wait for you to send us a picture of you in your like PPE and hard hat and like whatever other lingo cool shit you're gonna be wearing once you're a power engineer. Okay, talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a total sucker for heartwarming, like, adult relearns math after years of math denial stories. Ugh, like so amazing. I can't wait to see pics of Jill powering her way through power engineering, and I will definitely keep you guys posted and plaster those PPE pics all over my socials the second I get them. As always, you can find all our show notes at themathguru.ca/maththerapy. Remember to follow us on all social media at The Math Guru. And of course, a reminder that Math Therapy is hosted by me, Vanessa Viccaria, produced by Sabina Wex, and edited by David Kochberg. And our theme song is Waves by my very own band, Goodnight Sunrise. Guys, if you know someone who needs math therapy or needs to hear someone else getting it, please share this podcast and write a quick review on whatever podcast app you use. It makes a huge difference. I am so determined to change the culture surrounding math, and I really need help. So please help me spread the word. That's all for this week. Stay tuned for our next episode. It comes out next Thursday. Jill, Bish, what's up?
No, she might actually hear you.
Oh my God, Jill, can you hear me? That's so embarrassing.